afternoon, Preston, and thank you for being with us again this year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great
well, welcome
afternoon. Thank you
back.
for having me back.
Yeah.
We'll diving straight in then. Preston, most of our guests over the last couple of days are enjoying a kind of at least some semblance of a season break. But your seasons, your 2025 seasons, at least for two of the regional championships, are actually starting this weekend. No rest for you, I assume.
No, yeah, we have three more events to finish off the year. So the off season gets shorter and shorter, and it seems to just be January this year. But yeah, we're kicking off the 2025 season with an event in Minnesota, Namaji, one of our kind of smaller regional events, and then an event in California actually that we brought on a couple of years ago. So still a relatively new event for us, but pretty healthy field there for regional events. So we're excited.
Well, Preston, just give us some context. We've got the national championship, which, by the way, an early release of the calendar, and extremely for competitors and for events themselves as well, a stable calendar in terms of the events, in terms of just the look and feel of it. The three regional series underneath it as well. So just give us your state of the union of where ARA and those championships are at the moment.
Yeah, it's to be able to release the calendar as early as we have this year, we push to try and get it out earlier and earlier every year. Just since we do really have a mix between professional teams, but also still quite a few grassroots competitors, and so vacation time can be at a premium, and so always trying to get them those dates early. But it really is a testament to our event organizers that we've been working with to really have great events year over year. And as you said, our national championship has been pretty stable, with the exception of bringing on a new event in Tennessee last year, the rebranded now Over Mountain Tennessee, based kind of outside the Johnson City, Bristol area. And they've been a great addition for us, kind of a young and ambitious group there. And so we've been really excited to bring them on, and they're trying some new things with their event. That's been pretty exciting for us. But really, looking at the regional championship, that's kind of the backbone of the sport. Again, the fascinating kind of juxtaposition for rally in the US is that blend of professional and grassroots, and grassroots competitors show up for the regional events and make those events successful. So we went from 4 events in 2017 to we're up to, I think, 22 or 24 events going into 2025. So just really shows kind of the growth that we've seen, and the renewed interest in the sport, and really the expansion is kind of the wave that we're riding right now. So,
I mean, one of the things as well that makes ARA so successful, and actually on this growth trajectory that it's on now as well, is that it's an organization that will find a place for you to run. It's something where variety is not frowned upon, but is basically celebrated and accommodated. I mean, I look at Ferrari powered Subarus. I look at Volvos on the gravel and stuff, and it's a series that, okay, you've got your top end guys, you've got your factory Subarus, you've got the guys in the Rally 2 machinery sort of taking them on, but for you, I mean, core and central to the success of the ARA would seem to be there is a place for everybody.
absolutely. Yeah. I think that's what makes our series so exciting and a bit different than what you do see internationally. Of course, for us, we welcome international competitors coming over and things like Rally 2 machinery, and that adds a different level of excitement, especially towards the top of the field. But for us, I mean, you were part of a program a few years ago, with
Well,
the
yes.
Prius that competed, and maybe some people don't see it as a race car, but I think that's something that we love about our series and Rally in the US is we're racing real cars. They're all production based cars. Yes, there's a Ferrari engine in a Subaru, but they're both production from different factories, let's say. But having the V8 Sonics and different engine swaps and all different blends and sounds, that's what's great about Rally. And I think that's the allure of Rally in the US, is because we still have such a diverse group of competitors and a diverse group of machinery. Rally, there's a lot of intrigue going on for our series right now. And we've had, I've had more conversations with 5 or 6 different OEMs in the last few months than I have in years. And I think that just really shows what our team and our events have created over the last few years, and that renewed interest that we're seeing in rally.
I mean, Subaru is obviously a role model in terms of being a long-time factory participant, but it's also one where it isn't sort of to the detriment of the rest of the scene. I mean, if you look at that, if you look at, I mean, obviously we had a win for a Citroen Rally 2 car this year, an overall win, whatever. For you, how much is there a sort of a juggling act to sort of keep the big boys happy, but also make sure that the grassroots competitors, the guys and girls who are basically spending every last cent on making sure that they are on the Olympus Rally, how do you sort of like get that balance so everybody is happy? Big question, sorry.
If you have the answer, let me know. But no,
I don't.
and that's exactly what it is. It's a juggling act because everyone's operating off of the same set of rules. And yes, we have different classes with different opportunities for what you can do to the cars, but every decision we make, we are really weighing how is it affecting the guys at the top versus the guys at the bottom and everything in between. Whether it's rule changes or event structure changes, whatever the case is, we have to be very mindful with that. And I think that speaks to the partnerships that we have with our event organizers and our competitor base and volunteers and everyone else, to be able to work with such unique groups and still have the successful series that we have, just really shows the passion behind the sport and really the drive that everyone has to make this successful. And one of the things that we've really leaned on, in the last few years and doing a better job as a series is really understanding the economic impact that we make for the communities that we come into. The difference we have against a lot of other motorsport is we're racing on basically public roads, of course, closed for us to use on competition, but 364 other days of the year, they're, how people are getting to work and how they're getting to their driveway. And so we really have to have these partnerships and these relationships with these local communities. And again, our events do a fantastic job working with them. And now we've really come in and shown the impact that we have. And some of our national events, we're seeing over $3 million in economic impact for a single event. And to bring that amount of money into some of these smaller, rural communities makes a big difference. And so we get the ability to race on their roads. They get to come not only watch, but also see some benefits from it. And so we're really trying to expand on those relationships.
I think as well with the regional series as well, the fact that a couple of times a year that they get to share the stages with a national championship as well. I mean, that is something pretty unique, maybe in, definitely in North American motorsports.
Yeah, to be able to say that you're racing the same roads as those factory Subarus or, your Ken Blocks and Travis Pastranas and Brandon Semeneks of the world. I know that was part of what interested me when I was a competitor, for the better part of a decade, was being able to start racing and be able to enter the same events and ultimately beat them at some, when they wouldn't finish usually, but still at the end of the day, the result sheet don't lie, right?
Well, Preston, talk about that then. Somebody has basically seen rallying in their local area. Somebody has basically sort of picked up on it. Just give us an entry point and a way of actually starting in ARA rallying.
Yeah, I think that's actually been one of the big changes we've seen over the last few years, is how to get involved. And of course, the big push we still tell people is to get involved on the volunteer side to start, because then you understand how the event's structured, kind of the time schedule, and you really just get a better understanding of how rallies work, because it's not as easy as hopping in a car, putting your belts on and off you go racing. There are a lot of logistics involved with it. But, the other thing is we've partnered with a number of rally schools across the
Yeah.
US, which is a great way to get some seat time, understand driving dynamics, of course, work with their instructors. And geographically, it works out great for us because on the West Coast, we have Dirtfish kind of outside of Seattle. Central US, we work with a school called Rally Ready in Texas. We've actually got a Rally Sprint Series that we do down there, which has even more expanded the opportunities to get involved. The rally sprints are meant to be kind of that in between a stage rally with its complicated schedules and somewhat of a logistical nightmare to almost back to the roots of you just show up and you're able to do what ultimately looks like a real rally stage on a closed facility. So and we've also been trying a number of different classes there. We have UTVs there. We've
Right.
had some electric cross carts there. And so we're able to do a lot more different things than we would with a traditional stage rally down there in Texas. So, and then on the East Coast, we do have Tim O'Neill, who's been a stalwart for rally schools for, gosh, I think 2 or 3 decades at this point. And so with that, again, it's a great way for people to understand what it means to drive a rally car, just because, of course, it is a bit different seeing it on the side of the road versus being in the driver's seat, and get some training so that you can enter your first rally with a bit more confidence.
And I guess as well that Rally Sprint Series can be a destination in itself, although it's the perfect jump off into regional or national level.
Mhm.
It is in terms of just the sheer fun, just the sheer competitiveness of it.
Mhm.
You want to stay in Rally Sprint, you don't want the hassle of those logistics or whatever. It would seem to be the perfect sort of destination for any number of people.
It is, and I mean we've got a pretty healthy series in itself down there now. They do 4 events a year. We kind of stay away from the summer months just because they tell me Texas gets quite hot. I don't go down there, so I don't have to experience it. But we're actually looking at maybe doing a night race to kind of fill some of the summer months and with temperatures that are a bit more comfortable, let's say. But yeah, being able to do a 4 race series in what may be not too far away from you, and the great thing about Rally Ready is they have storage facilities and tech area to help keep the cars going and such. So it really does give new competitors an opportunity to be able to get involved in the sport in a bit easier of an option.
Now, rallying and obviously the experience that ARA presents is a pretty unique proposition, not just geographically, but in terms of the challenge, in terms of what you were doing. It's you against the clock. It's how do you sort of connect with a sort of a wider audience? I mean, a different demographic, say the grid life crowd, the Formula Drift crowd, the ones who kind of see the cars and see the experience and what it presents. Is there a do you feel there is sort of like a link that can be exploited?
Yeah, I mean that's really our next big task. I feel like our competition and event structures are pretty stable, as we've talked about, and in a good place where it's just minor upkeep for those. So really, for us, the next big push is on the promotional side. Rally is hard to follow in the U.S., and that's a problem that we need to fix. It's a motorsport with over 1 billion global followers, and it's still a relatively small sport here in the US, and that's again our kind of next big task. And that is not only following it in person, which is always going to be its own adventure. When you look
Yeah,
at
yeah.
our demographics, we really differ than a lot of motorsport from a spectator standpoint because they're extremely outdoorsy. They love hiking and fishing and all that side of it, and so we can capture some of that with that group, but then also looking at it from the digital standpoint. Our digital footprint is quite small at this point, and that is, as I said, the big push that we're looking at moving forward. We're fortunate where we're bringing on a couple of pretty big partners to go into our sport and supporting our sport for 2025. Not quite ready to share details yet, but
No, that's fine. That's
the
fine.
expectation is here next week with PRI, we'll have a bigger announcement for
Right.
that. But that's really for us looking outside of just the motorsport world and saying, how can we capture some of the fans of either other motorsport or again the outdoorsy crowd? And live streaming, Melissa mentioned on the Pikes Peak call here just before this, it's a challenge because of how remote we are.
Yeah,
And
sure.
so looking at more of post-production type of media, and certainly some of the more social media focused short form videos and interviews is really kind of the direction that we'll be looking at for 2025, with looking at docu-series and things like that in the future.
It certainly lends itself to, as you say, to a sort of post-event narrative. These are great self-contained stories. The challenge, the sort of the ups and downs. So that does sound extremely interesting for different ways of capturing the audience.
Yeah, well, and as even a sport like F1 found, it's the motorsport is interesting, but the people are really
Yeah.
the focus of the stories. And we have a lot of direction we're putting together to really focus on the people, because we have a fascinating bunch that comes out to our races, not only from a competitor standpoint, but volunteers. We talk about multiple generations. I think at one control I was at last year, we had 4 generations of one family that was all there working together at the control. So it's an extremely passionate bunch, and we want to be able to share their stories and our passion for the sport with the rest of the U.S. and certainly the world. And we've already invested in some technology. I know we've talked over the years about things like Rally Safer tracking systems, because you're always going to have your diehard fans that want the times immediately and know where every
Yeah, yeah.
car is. And certainly that's important to us as well. And so we've already invested in some of that technology, and we're comfortable with it. And now we're trying to utilize it to another capacity.
Preston, you're a case study in terms of being, somebody who saw rallying, was hooked on it, participated in it. Say I want to kind of see I want that sort of I get it moment by being there and sort of seeing it. I mean, I guess my own personal I get it moment in terms of, I sort of come from a European rallying background, but I remember being on Snowdrift, and being on Bonfire Alley and thinking, this is me sort of like I get this. I mean, if there were 2 or 3 places on 2 or 3 events where you would put a non-rally fan, set them down, and basically they will immediately get it, where would that be?
Well,
Put you
I
on the
think that's
spot.
I think that's the beauty of our series, though, and our schedule is because of how different all the U.S. territories are. You look at European rally, and you really have to go country to country to be able to, okay, this is what a tarmac rally, this is snow and ice. We have it all in the U.S. I mean, that's what
Yeah.
makes the ARA so wonderful. And you speak to Bonfire Alley and Snowdrift,
Oh
and
gosh.
we've had, again, international people come over and say there's nothing like this that I've ever seen. And to paint the picture
Well,
for
it
those
puts the
who
Col de Torini to shame.
right, yeah, which is saying something. To paint the picture for the people who haven't been there before. So it's typically one of the final stages of our opening event, Snowdrift, which is in Michigan. And I've been competing there when it's been negative 35 degrees. So it's not a very warm event to attend to. So a lot of spectators go to what is now Bonfire Alley, or known as Bonfire Alley, create these huge bonfires on the side of the stage. And if that wasn't enough, as the cars come by, they actually pour gasoline on it.
Yeah.
And so you have these huge flare-ups. And I remember the first time I was a competitor coming through that stage, and you hear stories about it, and you kind of have a picture in your head as far as what you think it's going to be. But these fires are so big that you feel the heat as you actually drive past them. And I was a co-driver, and so you don't want your co-driver speechless as you're going through the stage. But I was about as close as you can get. But we have that all over. You go to Oregon, and they have the iconic Boyd Loop with their big jump there. And Travis, I think Travis Pastrana holds the record. I think he jumped 120 feet or something. And this is just a jump in the middle of the stage. It's no no man-made jump or something you see on some of the super specials around the world. This is just a feature of the stage, and Olympus has the Wildcat stage. So you find it at every event, and I think that's the beauty for us, is to be able to select those national events that really showcase what we have to offer in the US better than you see in a lot of other countries. And because of that, we've been getting more and more international competitors. I think this year we had 20 different countries, or people from 20 different countries, participate for our series here in the US, which is really humbling. You know, our focus is always going to be to expand US competition, but I always want to foster you know, a series where international competition is welcomed and really adds to what we have to offer. So
I mean, you said there about the fact that there are so many different, you know, conditions, different sort of locations. In terms of the national series, is there any area where you feel a rally here will be the, you know, the final piece in sort of giving you every single thing you want, or do you think you're pretty much there now?
I would really, I mean, with any series, I want more events, right? I really want to have more opportunities for our competitors to be able to compete and for people to follow the series. And you know, I think the number of national events we have is in a good place, because it works out to be about once a month. You know, once we get started racing in February, you know, for the national series at least. And so I wouldn't really want more than about that kind of 8 number that we're at now.
Sure.
But what I would love is to be able to have a rotation where you know, we can add, say, a couple of East Coast events, you know, maybe a couple in the central US. I'm based in Colorado, so I'm biased, and we have a very good regional event here, not quite ready for national status yet. But being able to tap into some of those markets that we're not in right now is something that's important to us. And especially when we look at it, you know, I mentioned the economic growth that we're able to bring to the areas, to be able to offer that up and say, you know, here's what we can bring. How about we have some roads we can race on? So, you know, one of the places we expanded into was Tennessee that I mentioned. And they're a great case study for us, where they started as a regional event, pretty small 1-day event, you know, dozen or two competitors that would come out, and they met with us and said, we want to be a national event, and what will it take? And they really ticked all the boxes, and 3 years later, here they are on our national calendar. We've also expanded into Kentucky, and so again, we're in a really good spot right now, but we're ambitious, and we really want to add as many events as possible.
And your talk of rotation, I mean, that's something of a vexed question oftentimes in the WRC, but with having such a healthy regional scene as well, I guess that sort of lends itself to maybe being more plausible to be able to rotate in and out of the national series.
Yeah, there's, you know, I think sometimes a bit too much focus on the national championship. Obviously, for us, that's our showcase events, and that's what we highlight for the series. But you know, we have a much more healthy regional championship than we've had in the last number of years, and to be able to expand on that. And for me, it's giving competitors more opportunities to race. Rally cars are expensive, and you're very limited on where you can race them. Well, any race car is expensive, and it's all relative, right? But you know, your entry level rally cars are still tens of thousands of dollars, and if you're only able to race it once or twice a year, it's tough to justify that cost. But if suddenly you can race it 4 or 5 times a year, it makes a bit more sense. And rally as a whole is a pretty cost effective sport, from a money standpoint, and so being able to compete in more events and get more seat time ultimately is what the competitors want, and we're working with event organizers to try and bring.
So Preston, obviously we've got a healthy platform to build on. So just putting your sort of predictive head on, where do you kind of see ARA maybe 3-5 years down the road? I mean, what would you like to sort of see different? What would you like to see enhanced? What would you like to see as growth areas to be exploited?
Yeah, you know, from from a series standpoint, when we're talking competition, I'd love to see a couple more OEMs involved, or OEs involved. Again, we're production cars, and there are so few motorsport now that operate based on a true production car chassis, as really the basis of what they're using. And so to be able to have more of them involved, I think is important to us, and certainly an opportunity, not only for us, but also for them. Some of the brands out there have storied rally histories, and they're not rallying anymore. But you look at Subaru as an example of that. They're not rallying internationally, but have a really healthy team here in the US. And of course, the brand sees value in it, or else they won't continue to invest to compete here. So certainly on the competition side, that's what I want to see. And I think as we get larger brands involved with that, we can help keep some of the costs and other things for the grassroots competitors less expensive. Again, talking back to the decision making and always having to look at different aspects, trying to keep it more affordable for grassroots competitors is important. But then from there, looking at larger exposure of the sport and series here in the US will always be that kind of carrot to chase. And for us, I think being a more recognized sport and standing next to our NHRAs and NASCARs and those types of sports in the US is really important to us, and kind of in that 5-year goal.
Well, Preston, we will leave it at that, because I see that the panel has re-entered the room. You've probably got a bunch of preps to make for 2 events on the weekend.
Yes, absolutely. But always happy to make time here. And as with everyone that's part of this group, passionate about what I do, and so happy to talk about it.
No, superb insight. And have 2 really successful events on the weekend. 2 very different events as well.
Yes, very different, but hopefully equally successful.
EPARTRADE is a digital platform that we've created basically to make life easier in the business community of auto racing.
EPARTRADE, there is no e-commerce. It's literally a connection, just like at a trade show. So now, any time of the year, a buyer could reach out to a supplier.
When you see a product that you're interested in, all you need to do is click on request more information, and then from there it is forwarded directly to the buyer or to the supplier.
EPARTRADE really eliminates having to travel, closing down your shop. Now you have a place to showcase globally your racing product and technology.
Looking for a quick fix of motorsports news? The Speed Sport Daily is what you need. It's a free racing newsletter delivered directly to your email every day. We'll cover the winners and the losers and tell you who's making news off the track. It's NASCAR, NHRA, World of Outlaw, IndyCar, and so much more. Go to speedsport.com today and get signed up for America's free racing newsletter and get your daily motorsports fix. The Speed Sport Daily.
Land speed record holder George Poteet's Speed Demon rocketed 481 miles per hour at the Bonneville Salt Flats. You don't go that fast without ARP fasteners.
There is no way that we could go the speed that we've gone, the number of times we've gone, with a lesser quality bolt than ARP supplies to us. And we absolutely wouldn't be where we were today if it weren't for ARP.
When failure is not an option, it's ARP-bolts.com.
We're Performance Plus Global Logistics. Our team of dedicated performance industry and logistics experts get valuable cars and components to the track on time in top condition. We provide expedited logistics solutions for the performance industry using direct routes instead of deferred options, and communicate all necessary information to the appropriate resources to meet regulations and ensure a smooth transit and secure delivery, both domestically and internationally. And we exceed customer expectations by providing best-in-class service with an efficient and cost-effective system in place. Contact us today to book your next shipment.
Scott Lewis & Associates, the sales, marketing, and branding specialist for the automotive performance industry since 1988. We get our manufacturers on track by opening an extensive distribution network, providing product training to sales staff, creating fully integrated sales and marketing strategies, building successful industry partnerships, attending trade shows, events, and races, offering first-class support to customers. SLAI delivers solutions that win you sales. To get in touch with an SLAI representative, call 516-378-6100. Go to scottlewisinc.com or email info@scottlewisinc.com.
With roots in the Midwest that date back well before the Model T, Fifth Third Bank has a long history of serving the needs of automotive companies. While much has changed over the years, our passion for helping businesses put cars on the road and on the track has not. Today, we are more committed than ever as a member of SEMA, a founding member of PRI, and a sponsor of multiple race teams across several racing series.
For over a decade, Fifth Third Bank has been a staunch supporter of our industry and a great partner for many companies in the motorsports field.
Our business has been growing extremely fast, and really we could not be where we are today without Fifth Third. They provided amazing strategic advice, the capital we need to support our phases of growth.
They are true partners for me now, and what they do with their involvement in motorsports is untouched in this community.
Where can we take your business? Fifth Third Bank.
You work as hard as your truck, and you have no time for downtime. That's why more truck owners trust Blue Def, America's #1 diesel exhaust fluid brand. Each batch is guaranteed pure, so you can avoid costly repairs caused by inferior DEF. Demand America's best for your truck. Blue Def and Blue Def Platinum. Put trust in your truck.
When it comes to pushing the limits of performance, the pros know there's no room for compromise. At Crower Cams, we don't just engineer camshafts and valve train components, we redefine what power means. Since 1955, Crower Cams has been the name trusted by racers, engine builders, and gearheads around the globe. Whether you're building a street machine, a dragster, or a track car, Crower Cams provides the muscle you need to dominate. And with Crower, victory is within your reach.
For over 25 years, Wisconsin-based CTech Manufacturing has been engineering and manufacturing the toughest, most accessible aluminum tool drawers, cabinets, carts, and tactical storage solutions for America's hardest working professionals. Whatever you need to store and however you need to store it, put your trust in CTech Manufacturing. We build it better. Visit our new website at ctechmanufacturing.com or give us a call at 715-355-8842.
If you're watching this video, you might be wondering, what is WPC? WPC is a surface treatment designed to reduce friction and increase the strength of metal parts. As much as it might seem like a coating, WPC is actually a surface treatment. Think of it like shot painting, but the media is much finer, like talc. So what you're left with is a super hard, smooth surface that actually has some proprietary dry lubricants embedded within it. For more information, visit WPCtreatment.com.